For Friday Night Heights, Alabama and Auburn, a sentence with those two schools involved just means more year-round in this state. It's the Iron Bowl of gymnastics from a packed venue as number 7 Alabama and number 14 Auburn get set to go head-to-head. Jason Ross Jr. alongside Alicia Quinn nearing first vault here at Neville Arena. Take a peek at the meet format. So we have 6 gymnasts per team competing in each event. The 5 highest scores will count. Lowest is dropped. The team with the highest cumulative score will win after the 4 rotations. You see our home order and away order that will get us started up here at Neville Arena. Getting set and ready to vault. Sophia Groth of Auburn will get us rolling here.
Sophia making her way down the vault runway. Nice clean Yurchenko full to start off the Auburn lineup. Sophia fighting for that landing. She did not want to give that half a tenth to the judges.
And Sophia is fired up. In the offseason, Sophia works with our good friend Sam Petchik at her Beam Queen boot camp. And just, Sam told me she is so authentically herself. That energy right there is a prime example of that and a great start. Now on the bars, it'll be Alabama, Gabby Gladio, the sophomore. They've loved her in this leadoff spot. Be getting the first rotation for Bama, and she will have a chance to set the tone here.
Gabby hitting that handstand, almost kicks it over.
Welcoming you inside of Neville Arena, Alabama and Auburn, the Iron Bowl of gymnastics. On the bars right now, Alabama and Auburn just got it started up on the vault. Sophia Groth's first vault was a 9.875. These two teams going head-to-head just means a little more in this state when these two schools collide, and great starts for both sides so far. There's Gabby Gladio on the bars. They love her setting the tone to lead off that first rotation for Alabama.
A strong first performance for Alabama. It is not always easy being the away team coming in, being in somebody else's territory. You have to be confident and you have to block out all the noise surrounding you.
Jason Ross Jr., that was the voice of Alicia Quinn. So we mentioned Sophia Groth led off on the vault for Auburn. It was a 9.875. Now Sydney Shoemaker will have the opportunity to follow up here.
Round off onto the board, back handspring tuck, 1.5 twist off the table. She did have a small hop on that landing. The judges will take a 10th or so for that, but definitely a difficult vault. If the landing is blind, so you have to have really good air awareness to know where you are.
Auburn won their quad meet last week. This Alabama team coming off a loss to Kentucky a week ago. And you see Natalia Pollock come up. It was a loss that they said really fired them up from day 1 of the week on Monday, and trying to redeem themselves today against the in-state rival Auburn. As it is, Pollock will go second in the bars lineup for Bama.
Natalia taking her time to get onto the low bar. Getting that handstand. Opening up with Shaposh. It's a nice bail handstand. Tad bit short on the handstand on the high bar. Building momentum for that dismount. Nice double layout. Small step on that landing. Nice clean form, but we're just missing handstands is something that you really need to focus on, because it's the one thing judges are really adamant about the athletes hitting.
So Alicia, we talk about the familiarity between these two sides. There's Alabama head coach Ashley Johnston. Always so fun to catch up with Ashley, and she knows this gym well. She was an assistant at Auburn for 4 years before taking over the job as Alabama head coach. And we talk about it. Gymnastics is such a small world. It's kind of that 6th degree of separation type deal.
It's like the master and the apprentice return. So she is back in her old stomping grounds, and I don't know anyone better that lead this Alabama team through the craziness of an Auburn packed arena. beautiful 1.5, a lot of power, great distance, just that small step on the landing, but I love that form in the air.
Well, Jeff Grabo, the head coach of Auburn, was also amped up for this one. You mentioned the master and the apprentice going head-to-head. Jeff Grabo in his 14th season with Auburn. Of course, Ashley Johnston, head coach at Alabama, as we just mentioned, was an assistant under him for a few years before stepping into the head coaching position at Alabama. So just so much familiarity, so much respect between those two. His Auburn team has gone through a gauntlet of a schedule so far, facing several top 10 teams. Alabama, another one. They feel like they're ready for this challenge today. See our points of emphasis on the bars.
These are the main things that judges are looking for. They're looking for handstands, they want to see your release moves, your movement between the bar, and they want to see you stick your dismount. Nice efficient work so far. Full twisting double tuck. A little unsure of herself on that landing, was fighting to try not to take any extra steps, but unfortunately it did shuffle those feet just a bit.
That was Chloe LaCourcier, and Natalie Pollock preceded her, had a 9.775. Gabby Gladio had a 9.750 before that, so we'll see what they give Chloe. There's a really bright future ahead. Julianne Hough coming up next year for Auburn, grew up in Hoover, Alabama, so grew up with this rivalry, knows it well, knows what it means. Olivia Hollingsworth was given a 9.9 before Julianne's vault coming up here.
Nice approach to the table. Another Yurchenko 1.5 for a stick.
Great landing for Julianne Hough. And this Auburn team off to a good start on the vault.
Julianne had a nice approach, good air awareness there. Her foot is on the line. As long as that foot doesn't pass the line, she will not get a deduction for deviation. But she almost lifted that outside foot up, but made sure she absorbed that landing through her feet.
So a nice start for Auburn in front of their home crowd. Cameron Machado coming up here for Bama. One of their seniors mentioned this Alabama team has such a good blend of ingredients when it comes to freshmen and upperclassmen.
Cameron mounts up onto the high bar. Nice clean pack salto. Toe handstand to Van Leeuwen. Toe full to immediate double back, and bonus points for connecting those two skills. And Cam stuck that landing.
They say she has that lion mentality of always attacking the moment, owning the moment. And here it is. Let's take another look.
She has that look in her eyes when she means business, when she's getting ready to compete. And so she hit that handstand right within the 10 degrees that you were allowed to. And then the toe full, nice pirouette to the handstand, to the double tuck. Very nice.
Hug with her head coach there, Ashley Johnston. And now coming up, Sarah Hubbard. Sarah's parents actually worked for her head coach, Jeff Grabo, and his twin brother, Just. They didn't meet at that gym, but this is such a small world. I mentioned it, and her head coach was actually at her parents' wedding, and it's come full circle to her now being a gymnast at Auburn.
Sarah performed another Yurchenko 1.5, did take a little hop backwards, which indicates under rotation to the judges. So that would typically be a bigger deduction than a over rotation, which would be a step forward out of the landing.
We'll see what they end up giving Sarah. Been, again, a really good start in the vault for Auburn. Prior to her, Julianne Hough was given a 9.925, which is the highest score so far on the vault for Auburn. Here's Makari Doggett following up Cameron Machado's 9.925, which is the highest score on the bars for Bama so far.
Makari up on the high bar. Big Takachev to immediate pack salto. Beautiful connection there. Again, getting bonus points that help her get to her 10.0 start value. Trying to double layout. Oh, just couldn't hold that landing long enough. That step backwards will cause her a slight deduction, but that was a nice routine. Look at the height above the bar. She's well aware of where she is, and that gives her time to catch fully and be able to connect those two skills together. Nice form in the air, legs straight, toes pointed. Just needed to be a little bit more patient on that landing.
So now Cassie Stevens will have the opportunity to anchor this first rotation for Auburn. What's been a good first rotation so far for the Tigers. She's following up Sarah Hubbard's 9.875 here.
Another Yurchenko 1.5. And she sticks that landing a little bit loose in the air with her form, but a roster of 10.0 start values is something that teams are coveting, because that is where you can set yourself apart from other teams. Slight shoulder angle on the table, but look at that distance. She had so much power that she traveled that far from the table. Very impressive.
17th in the NCAA and all-around. That was a defending SEC vault champ. Speaking of gymnasts who were good in the all-around, Luisa Blanco. We got two of the best in the country in the all-around today, Luisa Blanco and Cassie Stevens. We'll be talking about them throughout the course of the meet. Here's Luisa Blanco coming up here, just kind of on the edge of your seat every time she performs.
On top of being a graduate student athlete at Alabama, Luisa is also training for the upcoming Olympic Games in Paris. I would like to say that most gymnasts are overachievers, but I think Luisa is one of those who's just taking it up another notch. And so far, this bar routine has been clean. Can she stick the landing? This will be a big score. Just a little too much juice on that. Does take a decent step size backwards.
We'll see what they end up giving Luisa, and we'll update you on her score. Right now for Bama, they would want to drop the 9.750. Meanwhile, we're going to catch up with Chloe LaCourcier, the up-and-coming Alabama freshman, when we come back on Friday Night Heights. We'll get to know Chloe a little bit more. Packed Neville Arena. They've liked the start for their Auburn team at home today. Auburn up after the first rotation by 0.325 there, welcoming in number 7 Alabama tonight on Friday Night Heights. Been a fun start. Jason Ross Jr. alongside Alicia Quinn. Well, Alicia, we talk about this Alabama team. They're on the road today, and a start that they've watched Auburn get off to a good start on their end. But you look at this Alabama group of great ingredients of experience with the upperclassmen and the blend of freshmen too. Talk about some of these freshmen and upperclassmen.
This freshman class has come in strong for Alabama, and honestly, they've looked up to their upperclassmen, and they are making it their own. And one who sticks out in particular is Chloe LaCourcier. She has come in. Justin Spring, her head coach, says she's great.
Has such a bright future ahead, and we're going to get to know Chloe a little more. You got to catch up with her earlier this week. Let's take a look at that interview.
Is there like one specific moment that you can remember where you were thinking, this is the place for me?
Right, because Alabama was my first visit, so it was so new and exciting. But then after my visit was the moment that I think kind of was like, this is the place. And that was realizing how invested the whole community was in this program. I actually went to a donut shop, Babe's Donut Shop, and realized there's an Alabama gymnastics poster on the wall. And I got so excited. I was like, Dad, look, they care about Alabama gymnastics too. And so that donut shop really sold me on the program.
What is your major?
My major is neuroscience. I've always loved kids, would love to work with kids, and use my major to go into pediatric neurology. The other option would be to continue this sports and create my own practice and become a sports psychologist. And I would love that. I just want to work with athletes and help them grow and just learn, because the brain is so powerful, and I think it can change a lot of athletes' lives.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Night owl. I don't like mornings.
Are you an Instagram gal or TikTok?
I like to post on TikTok.
All right, if you had to spend time outside the gym, are you choosing Ashley or Justin to hang out with?
Oh gosh, depends on the day. You know, if I want to just sit back and talk, Ashley. But if I want to go play some spike ball and do something adventurous, Justin.
Tough decisions. Really fun conversation there with Chloe. We got more coming up. Rotation number 2 on the horizon. Alabama's ranked 10th in the NCAA on vault. Auburn's ranked 15th in the NCAA on bars. More coming up on Friday Night Heights, Alabama and Auburn. That vault score for Auburn, their team season high so far on the vault, has gotten them off to an excellent start in this meet, leading after the first rotation at home. We're loving it inside on what's rodeo night at Neville Arena. The Iron Bowl of Gymnastics, as we now flip over to Alabama on the vault and Auburn on the bars. You see the student section, affectionately known as the Gymnasties. On the vault, Gabby Gladius.
Nice. Stuck Yurchenko full for Gabby. Now Yurchenko full starts from a 9.95, not a 10.0, but if it's done well enough and they want to give her a perfect score, you will see that, a 9.95. But that was pretty dang close.
And she's been an individual SEC champ on the vault. That's one of her strengths. So now, can Auburn follow up what they did on the vault in that first rotation, going to bars now? Aria Brush will be in the leadoff spot for them in that bars lineup.
Aria starting on the low bar. Nice toe handstand to Maloney. A little leg separation on that backswing to Bale. Building momentum for her dismount. Double layout. It's just a small step on that landing. If Auburn wants to hold on to this lead, they need to be focusing on sticking those landings, because we have been doing some research, and the more stick landings you have in a competition, the more likely your score at the end of the day is going to be that much higher.
Now back to Bama on the vault, Chloe LaCourcier, who you got to catch up with earlier this week. Really fun personality. You see the points of emphasis. Walk us through this, Alicia.
On vault, not all vaults are created equal, so you need to have a good start value. You need to perform your vault well, having good execution, and they want to see a nice, clean, controlled landing just like that.
Fired up after her vault, and rightfully so.
Let's take another look at that Yurchenko 1.5. Nice, clean form in the air. You can see she pulls her head and shoulder around just at the right time so she can spot the end of the mat to stick that landing.
She's competed in the all-around for them as a freshman. They have a ton of trust in what she can do and her abilities. She has been so impactful in a very early stage of her career. Has that freshman combo of, you see the way she works, and it just sets the tone to a point where seniors will follow her. And you see why there. Now flipping back over to the bars for Auburn here. Aria Brush had a 9.8 to begin in that leadoff spot. Now Olivia Hollingsworth trying to follow it up. They gave LaCourcier a 9.950, by the way, on that last vault.
Nearly perfect for Chloe.
I think she enjoyed your interview earlier this week, Alicia. That amped her up.
Maybe that was her good luck charm. Olivia does a nice piked Jaeger to Bale handstand. You see coaches moving between the bars and cables. They are allowed to stand in for their athletes as long as they do not touch them. There is no deduction. All is the dismount. Full twisting double back with the stick.
These landings are getting contagious.
Again, right after that release, she's hitting that handstand, moving from high to low. Nice, clean form. The 2 flips and the 1 twist, and a beautifully done landing.
It was Auburn leading after the first rotation. So far, again, they gave Chloe LaCourcier a 9.950 on that last vault for Alabama. Now comes up Lily Hudson, who said earlier this week that that loss last week to Kentucky really lit a fire underneath us all week. Monday in the gym, they were working nonstop on every detail.
Another Yurchenko 1.5. Unfortunately, she just could not get her shoulders over her hips and take some steps backwards and ends up hitting her back on the table. That's going to be a score that Alabama's going to want to drop. See that shoulder angle? She didn't get enough height and rotation to get that vault around.
Alicia, what is the key to getting enough height there?
So when I talk about shoulder angle, when you're doing the back handspring up onto the vaulting table, you want your armpits to almost be flat and open so you can get a nice block and repulsion off the table. She had such a strong angle that she was lacking some height and rotation for that vault, which caused her to unfortunately under-rotate it.
So most likely Alabama will drop that score and now flip it back over to Auburn. Olivia Hollingsworth again at a 9-9, so Sophia Groth will follow her up on the bars.
Nice ray for Sophia on the high bar. Hack salto. The whole Auburn squad in the background cheering Sophia on. Blindfold, a little bit short of the handstand to immediate double tuck where she sticks the landing.
Wow, well, you know, Sophia actually works with our good friend Sam Petchik with her Beam Queen boot camp in the off season. And again, you see that bright smile of hers. Sam told me that she's just so authentically and uniquely herself, which you gotta love. Flip it over here. Luisa Blanco mentioned she does the all-around for Alabama. Stepping up here on the vault for the Tide.
The rest of this Crimson Tide vault lineup is going to want to make sure they hit their vault so they can drop Lily Hudson's score if they want a chance of closing that gap. Woo! Luisa Blanco wasn't messing around.
And Alicia, on top of that, you know, is there pressure when you're following up that prior vault of Lily Hudson, which you know you're going to drop that score?
Another beautiful look at that Yurchenko 1.5. There is additional pressure when you know a teammate has made a mistake and you need to, you know, close that gap or make that score not count. But a lot of these athletes are great about turning the page and just focusing on what they can control, and that's their own individual performance.
We know Luisa definitely has the capability to do that. So they give Luisa a 9.950, which is big, and it's what Alabama needed after they'll drop that 9.425 that we mentioned. Now Gabby McLaughlin will come up here, the California native, following up Sophia Groth's 9.8.
Opens up with the Maloney to pack salto. Half pirouette.
This is your reigning SEC Specialist of the Week.
A little bit loose on that blind change full to immediate double tuck. Small hop in that landing. Whoop, a little unsure of herself as she tries to turn to salute the judges. Not a bad bar set, just needs a little bit tighter form towards the end of that routine.
Well, there's a big game tomorrow afternoon right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app, featuring Johnny Broom and number 12 Auburn. Tiger fans want to stick around for that one, taking on Florida at the O'Connell Center in Gainesville. Coverage tips at 3:30 Eastern Time. That's SEC Men's Hoops. Hey, Alicia, to go back to Gabby McLaughlin real quick, I loved when Coach Grabo said that she reminds him a little bit of you, a little bit of fight and attitude there.
I was known for being a little bit of a spitfire, Jason.
That's not a bad thing. Jamison Sears coming up here.
A very dynamic Yurchenko full. Needs a little more control on that landing, but good height, good distance. Talked about those shoulders being open. You can see there's a slight angle, kicks it out at the end. That's how much height she had off the table.
Jamison also has that fun, fiery personality. Teammates just gravitate towards her voice. And now Cassie Stevens also competing in the all-arounds for Auburn.
Cassie mounts up onto the high bar. Toe handstand to Ray. Oh, to immediate overshoot. Getting ready for her dismount. Nice double layout. A little bit of movement in the air in her hips, so the judges will deduct for form. But I think these Auburn Tigers are very aware of themselves wanting to stick these landings. So Cassie gave away a little bit of form to try to stick that landing instead. The slight leg separation, but she got that landing in the end.
If you joined us late, we have two of the best all-arounders in the country, Cassie Stevens for Auburn, and on the Alabama side, Luisa Blanco, two names that you get familiar with throughout the course of the night. Now flip it back over. It's Makari Doggett anchoring this vault lineup in the second rotation for Alabama. Again, it'll be the 9-4-2-5 from Lily Hudson that Bama will drop. We'll see what Makari Doggett can do here.
Another Yurchenko full, small hop on that landing. Alabama finished out that vaulting rotation strong after a little mishap from Lily Hudson.
So next up on bars for Auburn, it's Olivia Greaves, who injured her knee before the 2023 season, had to sit out all of last year. She returned on bars last week for the first time this season, earning a 9.875. Just really, really cool, an emotional debut for her. See the smile on her face and her teammates. Alicia, you gotta love this here.
Absolutely. There's nothing better than coming back after a trying injury and having that first competition under your belt. And Olivia is such a phenomenal bar worker, and she hopes to be working her way into other lineups throughout this season.
And her parents were there too last week. They were nearly in tears watching their daughter get back out there doing what she loves.
And it's good to have her back. What a nice bar routine. Only thing that I saw there was a small hop on that landing. Very well done for Olivia.
We'll see what they end up giving Olivia as she anchored the bars for Auburn there. She followed up a 9.9 from Cassie Stevens. There were 3 9.8s in that lineup for Auburn on the bars from Aria Brush, Sophia Groth, and Gabby McLaughlin. Olivia Hollingsworth also had a 9.9. Auburn led after the first rotation. See Jeff Graba there, the head coach of Auburn in his 14th season. For Alabama, Ashley Johnston, the former Auburn assistant, and learned a lot, of course, under Jeff Graba. So a lot of intertwining between the small world of gymnastics and this meet. And of course, in the state of Alabama, we're now welcomed by Alabama head coach Ashley Johnston. Well, Ashley, what'd you think of the first couple of rotations?
You know, starting on bars, we really attacked a lot of our casts and, you know, just had a couple little mistakes here and there. Nothing major, but I think we gave away too many half-tenths, a couple of landings. But then moving over to vault, I'm really proud of how the group didn't let that get them down, and they continued to fight and continue to focus on what they could control and had a couple of really great vaults. And so we're proud of where we are right now, and we're going to keep building.
Ashley, congratulations on your season high on vault this last rotation. What are you telling your team going into floor?
You know, going into floor, we're trying to bring our familiar into the unfamiliar, right? This is a loud arena. It's a crazy arena. The energy is fantastic. And so we're going to use that to our advantage and really try to just carry that into our own team momentum.
Thanks, Ashley. Really appreciate your time. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Again, that's a season high on vault for Alabama. Well, coming up, we're going to talk about Black history in gymnastics as ESPN celebrates Black history always, not just in February. Taking a peek at a few women who are paving the way.
I think for me, being a Black gymnast at the collegiate level and seeing so many more Black gymnasts enter with HBCUs getting into the mix, I think it's amazing to see all the representation and see all the different personalities. It's just become a lot more diverse among Black athletes just in general, and I think that's really helpful for the younger generation coming up to see like, oh, she looks like me, she's built like me, she does gymnastics like me, and I want to be like that.
I think in this sport, it's really hard to look different than other people and be okay with that. I would just say stick with it and be who you are, because to really stand out in this sport, especially because it is predominantly white, and there's an opportunity for growth here, and it's awesome that you can be a part of that. So just own that and have fun with it.
Celebrating Black history in gymnastics. You saw Aria Brush in that feature. A lot of history in her family. Her great-great-uncle Lucius Williams played professional baseball for the Birmingham Black Barons in the Negro Leagues. And she is paving the way herself. Now a grad student for Auburn, and taking a peek at other women who came before her that are now in coaching in gymnastics. Going to start here, Alicia, with Asia Sims Fletcher.
The former Alabama gymnast has now taken her knowledge of the sport to another school as the inaugural head coach at Talladega College. She joins Fisk University as the second HBCU program in the nation. She is a phenomenal gymnast, and now she is a phenomenal coach, just inspiring athletes each and every day.
Really cool to see, and taking a peek at some other former gymnasts who have become coaches around gymnastics, and specifically in the SEC. Corrine Wright Tarver, Georgia gymnast from 1987 to 1990, hired at Fisk in 2022. In '89, she became the first Black woman to win an NCAA all-around title. Ashley Miles Grieg, former Bama gymnast as well, hired at Iowa State last year. We got more coming up from Neville Arena on the other side. A fun meet so far. Through two rotations here at Auburn. Alabama, after their season high on vault, has cut Auburn's lead in the meet from .325 to .100 after that last rotation. So it's getting tighter in a packed atmosphere at Neville Arena. You see the student section right behind Alabama there, the gymnasties. They'll try to get in your head. A fun start to this meet through two rotations. Now go to the third rotation on the floor. It'll be Alabama. On the beam, it will be Auburn, and Paige Zancan will get us started up here on the beam. Paige, a freshman from Maryland.
Back handspring layout, step out. Just a slight balance check on the landing of the layout. Switch leap, switch half. Very nice leap connection. This has been a close competition so far, but I'm a firm believer in balance beam being the make or break event. And Paige is being, all her team needs to be in that leadoff position to get the ball of momentum rolling for Auburn on balance beam.
Alicia, you hear that pretty often, that beam could be the make or break event in any meet. Why is that?
You know, it can just turn the tide of the competition. You have a lead going into that event, you make a mistake. Sometimes mistakes are contagious, and the nerves of, you know, staying on a 4-inch piece of equipment is a little bit difficult.
Easier said than done. And now, so on Alabama for the floor, leading off will be Maddie Walagora, native of Rochester, Michigan.
Maddie getting ready for her first tumbling pass. Teammates and the gymnasties both copying her choreography over there on the sidelines. A nice front lay to front double full. Torch day half to wolf full. Floor and beam are similar in the sense of it is showcasing your artistry, your flexibility, and your power by showing acro skills, your tumbling, but also doing leaps and turns to show off a little bit of your flexibility and your artistry and how well you can present and dance through these events. Round off 1.5 to front layout. A good hit in that leadoff position for Alabama.
Felt like a statement start for Walagora on the floor for the Tide. Again, trailed by .100 heading into this rotation. For the beam for Auburn, they gave Paige Jancan a 9.90 to start off. Break down the points of emphasis here for us, Alicia.
On balance beam, judges are looking at your dance and acro skills and elements. They want to see how you connect them, and of course you need to have a balance.
Now Aria Brush will step up here. She's done bars, beam, and floor throughout her career.
Switch half to beat jump. I like Aria's style on balance beam. It's aggressive, it's sharp, it's quick. Back handspring, layout, step out. Anytime I'm working with athletes and I'm coaching them on balance beam, I tell them, I go, the secret to staying on the balance beam is having tight arms and having a quick, aggressive tempo. So the more you doubt or relax, I feel like it's easier to make a mistake or possibly fall.
This is going to be my follow-up, just eliminating any sort of hesitation and overthinking.
Definitely. Gainer full off the side, fighting for that landing. Another hit routine for Auburn.
Nice start on the beam for Auburn. We'll see what they give Aria Brush. Auburn had a season high on the vault today. Alabama had a season high on the vault as well to cut back into that Auburn lead now into the third rotation with Auburn on the beam, Alabama on the floor. Cam Machado will step up here on the floor for Alabama.
Now, I think this is a good strategy by Alabama. They strategically placed their team in front of the gymnastes to almost block their distraction of making mockery of their choreography, but the team is supporting their teammate by doing the choreography. It's very well played by the Crimson Tide. Cam opened up with a double tuck and showing us an array of wolf turns. Cam going for her next tumbling pass. Round off 1.5 front layout. Switch leap. A very nice switch half.
All right, so Alicia, you mentioned kind of chess move after chess move. It's gymnastes versus Alabama supporting their teammate here. So you see behind them, the gymnastes are trying to do a little bit of mockery, as you said, but blocking it out is the key. Block out the distractions, as we say.
You're like, we're going to take your negative and make it a positive, and we're just going to be right in front of you stealing your thunder. I mean, it is amazing. Such a power move on Alabama's part.
Gotta love that. So next up for Auburn on the beam, it'll be Olivia Hollingsworth. You see she's in the all-around. One of the several different names in that category. Our head coach Jeff Graba said, I don't know if I can say enough about Olivia. She had to actually miss practice last week because she was interviewing for medical school. Maybe the hardest degree you can get while practicing throughout the week and doing the all-around. Just says so much about her work ethic.
I mean, clearly she's an underachiever, Jason. Not nearly working hard enough.
We should be learning from her.
For real. Back handspring layout, step out, rock solid on that landing. A little unsure of herself on that switch half. Switch leap, straddle, quarter. Back handspring, gainer full off the side. Fighting to hold that stick position at the end. We're gonna take another look at that switch half. You can see she didn't fully get her hips all the way around, therefore her feet were not gonna be landing straight on the beam. They were turned to the side, causing her to lose balance just a little bit.
Next up on floor, Ella Burgess.
Talking to their head coach there, Jeff Graba. So now Ella Burgess will come up on the floor for Alabama. She really added floor to her plate this year. Hadn't done it consistently since her freshman year. Always smiling and bringing a positive to each situation she's in.
That tiger in the background had a nice body roll. Ella opening up her first tumbling pass, double pike. Second pass, double tuck. Switch side half to straddle full. Front full to front layout. A little under rotated on that last flip. Still keeps it on her feet. The judges will get her a little bit for that step backwards.
The Thursday night at 9 Eastern right here on SEC Network and the ESPN app. It's a big women's basketball matchup in College Station with Vandy going up against Texas A&M. Should be a fun one there. Vandy has really surprised some people this year going down to College Station. That's a 9 Eastern start for some late night hoops on Thursday. Now Sophia Groth coming up on the beam for Auburn. The lowest score so far on beam for Auburn is a 9.725 from Olivia Hollingsworth. So right now, that would be the score they dropped. Paige Zancan had a 9.9 and Aria Brush had a 9.850.
Back handspring layout, back handspring for Sophia. Her face of excitement. Honestly, I'd probably make that face after any skill I completed on balance beam these days. But a 3-skill series is very difficult. Nice leap connection, switch leap to switch half. Cartwheel, gainer full off the side. I don't necessarily think that was a stick. I think there was slight foot movement, but she was working real hard to not pick up those feet. Another look at that 3-skill accuracy. Here's the back handspring layup, back handspring. And the cartwheel, gainer full off the side. I would have liked to see that be a little bit higher before she came down on the ground, but I'll take the stuck landing or semi-stuck landing.
We'll see what they end up giving Sophia. As you can see right now, the score is tied. 128.200 for both Auburn and Alabama. Into this third rotation, it's Lily Hudson on the floor.
Front layout, front double full for Lily's first tumbling pass.
Gotta love a little Sweet Home Alabama, Alicia.
Who doesn't? I mean, their medley of music in her floor routine, it hits home for me. I feel like I need to be doing a home gym workout, just getting real pumped up. The bow and arrow shoot, amazing. One of my favorite things about college gymnastics is all the different choreography you see. Nice double tuck for Lily in her second pass. A fun routine for Lily Hudson from Alabama. Nice connection on this first tumbling pass. A front layout to a front double full, which is a flip with 2 twists. And channeling her inner Katniss Everdeen from Hunger Games, shooting that arrow into the crowd.
Gotta love that from Lily. And for Lily, bouncing back from a vault that didn't go her way earlier, able to mentally switch over to the floor. And now back to the beam here for Auburn with Cassie Stevens, again, who is in that all-around mix. They gave Lily a 9.925, by the way, on the floor.
Great score for Lily. Nice back handspring layout for Cassie. Has been just such a constant for this team, week in and week out. Performing her own skill right there with Stevens.
So huge for them to get her back for a 5th year.
Round off 1.5 to a stuck landing. That will be a good score.
What a performance on the beam for Cassie Stevens. That follows up one of 2 9.9s that Auburn have had on the beam so far.
Showcasing her flexibility, hitting that 180 degrees, maybe just shy of 180 degrees, to the double yang bow. Nice look at the round off, 1.5. And the look of excitement, partially for being done with beam, but also for partially sticking that landing.
We got through it, and it was an excellent routine on the beam there for Stevens. So now Gabby Gladio on the floor. One of 2 remaining gymnasts on the floor for Alabama.
Gabby opens up a full twisting double back, slightly under-rotated, causing her to take that step forward. Hearing some commotion from the beam area. Cassie Stevens received 110 from one judge. Ended up with a 9.975 for that very well done beam routine. Gabby, front layout to front 1.5 split jump. Probably not the way she wanted to start her routine, but she did finish that routine strong.
And last team score for Cassie Stevens was a 9.
See what they end up giving Gabby. It'll be Luisa Blanco who will anchor that floor lineup for Alabama. But first, to anchor the beam lineup for Auburn, Gabby McLaughlin will come up following what was as Alicia mentioned, a 9.975 for Cassie Stevens. She got 110. One of the judges that had Neville Arena erupting. But it'll be Gabby McLaughlin trying to follow up an excellent performance from Cassie Stevens on the beam.
A lot of people ask if they think it's difficult to perform after a teammate had fallen. I personally think it's also difficult to perform after a teammate does really well.
Yeah,
because it puts more pressure on you because you want to do equally as well, if not better. So I think sometimes that pressure can come from either, it's a double-edged sword, it's coming from either the fear of not wanting to make a mistake or the desire to just dominate and get a great score. Switch leap to straddle quarter. Back leg was a touch low on that switch leap. Gainer pike off the end of the beam, step backwards. It's gonna be a decent score. It's not, it probably will beat Olivia Hollingsworth's 9.725, but it's still a great beam rotation for Auburn.
Alicia, is that step backwards or step forward going to take more deduction off?
It will be more because it indicates under rotation. Anytime there's a step backwards when you're doing technically a forward flipping element, even though it's a back flip, which is very confusing in general for that dismount. But yes, it would take more of a deduction for the step backwards.
So now none other to anchor this floor lineup than Luisa Blanco. Already a two-time SEC Gymnast of the Week this season.
Opening up that floor routine with the wolf turn. Big double pike for Luisa in her first tumbling pass. Round up back handspring double tuck. Had a little extra juice on that landing. Takes a decent sized step backwards. You're allowed to do a controlled lunge. I would say that was just a little bit out of control. Going for her last tumbling pass. A front full front layout. You may wonder why some athletes do a jump or step arabesque out of their tumbling. One, it's one way to have to kind of cover up if you don't have control of the landing. And two, if you do it with a jump, you tend to get a bonus point for the connection.
Luisa's performing with such a level of freedom right now within each of her events. So Auburn will have the lead heading into the fourth rotation. I don't know how many people expected to be saying that going into tonight, but Auburn certainly felt like they could take this meet today. And again, they'll have the lead at home going into the fourth rotation, still waiting on that Luisa Blanco score. We now are joined by Jeff Graba, the head coach for Auburn. Well, Jeff, your team will have the lead heading into the fourth rotation. What have you made of your group's performance so far at home?
Pretty good. I mean, I'm really happy with where we are. The focus has been good. The energy's been good. We got to go here. This is our best event, so we got to go party a little bit.
All right, I know you're going to party a little bit, but what are you telling your athletes to focus on during this rotation?
Just energy. I mean, it's a great atmosphere in here, but we got to keep our own energy up. You can't just rely on it. So we're going to try to stay focused, try to help each other get through this, stay in our bubble, but energize our bubble.
Thanks, Jeff. Looks like a party behind you.
Yeah, that's true. I'm glad I'm over here.
Great. Well,
Thanks.
Appreciate your time. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
They're swag surfing in Neville Arena, and they're amped up because their group has the lead going into the fourth rotation. We'll have more on Friday Night Heights coming up next on SEC Network. Student section hyped up. They're hitting the swag surf before we went to break because their team has the lead going into the fourth rotation. Auburn and Alabama. The Iron Bowl of Gymnastics taking place tonight at Neville Arena, and it's been a fun start to this one. Take a peek at the Road to National standings and the SEC teams in the midst here. You have Kentucky, LSU, of course, Alabama, who are watching tonight, and Florida there as well. Alicia, such a strong conference once again. No weeks off whatsoever. You got to be ready to go each and every week. Jason Ross Jr., Alicia Quinn with you for what's been a fun meet so far between Auburn and Alabama. Your thoughts on the SEC so far, Alicia?
Honestly, I think the SEC is the best conference in women's gymnastics. And though Oklahoma has been running away with these championship titles at the end of the year, I feel like these SEC teams are gunning for that top spot, and they are ready to dethrone the Sooners.
That's the goal. Well, let's take a peek at some highlights from around the SEC. Got a ton of gymnastics for you already earlier this evening. It's Haley Bryant from LSU and the LSU-Georgia meet. She had a 10 on beam, her first career 10 on beam, completing the career gym slam. It's her third 10 this season already and 13th overall of her career.
It was something for sure. And then we moved on to our next perfect score of the evening was from Florida's own Leanne Wong with this beautiful bar set. Nice lines, toes pointed, legs together, and just a perfectly done double layout.
Her first 10 of the season, 7th of her career. Talk about how fun the SEC is this year. Tickets now on sale for the SEC Championship at Smoothie King Center in New Orleans this year. You can visit the SECticketoffice.com to purchase your tickets. We'll head to break. More coming up from Neville Arena. You're watching Friday Night Heights, Alabama and Auburn.
My favorite venue to compete at is definitely Auburn. They have a great student section. They fire us up, even those gymnastics. I know I'm not supposed to say it, but it's awesome to see the engagement that they have with the crowd and with the gymnasts, and I love it. I've always loved it ever since my freshman year.
There's Alabama head coach Ashley Johnston. She knows this gym better than most people. She spent 4 years as an assistant under current Auburn head coach Jeff Graba. So she's back in familiar territory. Prepped her group coming into this week for how hostile this atmosphere would be. Auburn's last win in this series came in 2022. Alabama won last year, despite SUNY Lee getting 2 10s in that loss. So it's been tight last couple of years. Overall series history favors Alabama, but been another fun meet between these two teams today as Gabby Gladio steps up on the beam for Alabama.
Back handspring layout to 2 feet. Aerial 2-beat jump. dismount, round off, double full, small hop on that landing, but nice set for the lead off.
Felt like the start Alabama needed on beam. Remember, we spoke to Auburn head coach Jeff Graber before we went to break, and he said he felt floor is our strongest of the events. We'll have Aria Brush leading off. The Auburn lead expanded from .100 to .225 after that third rotation concluded. And here is Aria Brush, who's going to lead off on the floor for Auburn.
Opening up her floor routine with a front tuck, step out to double tuck. Nice switch half to straddle for the wolf roll. Assistant coach Sarah Carver-Milne in the corner, cheering her on. A little fun fact for our viewers. Sarah was actually my college coach at Brown University before she made her way down to Auburn. Aria finishing out that routine very well, getting the ball rolling for the Tigers, looking to clinch this victory over Alabama.
So many those connections that we talk about between these two teams and just the gymnastics world in general. So now coming up for Alabama, it'll be Rachel Rivicki, the Grosse Pointe Park, Michigan native. One of 6 Alabama gymnasts who had a perfect 4.0 GPA in the fall. Back on beam, she was a really steady contributor in this event last year, worked her way back from an injury.
Rachel hitting her full turn requirement. On balance beam, you have special requirements that each athlete needs to complete. Acro series is one of them. Unfortunately, she did just fall on her back handspring layout step out, which would have fulfilled that. Cat jump to a switch half attempt, just short of getting her feet around to get credit for that. Jump to straddle 3/4. Round off 1.5. Good size hop on that landing. Not the routine she was probably looking for, or really what Alabama would want going into this last event, but you can see soft arms on that back handspring, loose legs in the layout, causing her hips to open, and then she fought real hard to try to stay on. She just couldn't get it. You could see that front foot was already angled off to the side, and she just couldn't save it.
Teammates, as always, there to support. They'll probably have to drop that score, though. Gabby Gladio led off on the beam with a 9.850 for Alabama. Flip it back over to the floor for Auburn, Hannah Hagel.
Round off 1.5 front full for Hannah. Torch they have to straddle full. Double wolf turn. Really popular in the gymnastics community right now. Very difficult to do. Actually tried one this past week at national team camp and I couldn't get up afterwards or get around the turn. So I give any athlete credit who performs them. And closing out with that nice double tuck. Jeff was not lying. Auburn is harnessing that energy in the house and putting it into those routines, and they want this victory.
Like he said, Alicia, the feels floor is their strongest. And by the way, Alicia, if it makes you feel any better, if I tried one, I wouldn't be able to get up either. No, we're in the same boat there. So now Alabama, you got to find a way, Alicia, here to bounce back from what was a 9.3.25 from Rybicki, the score they'll have to drop. And coming up to try to do that is Maddie Walagora. Always a little pressure here.
In the wise words of Ted Lasso, Alabama needs to be a goldfish. Not think about what just happened, that being routine before, and just focus on making every one of these remaining routines count.
Love dropping in a Ted Lasso reference on beat.
It's the best. I mean, he's not wrong. You really just do want to forget about it. Turn the page, let's move on. Can't change it, no point in harping on it. Let's just try to be better from here on out. Just unsure of herself on that landing. Found her confidence on that aerial. Split jump to tuck full, solid on that landing. It's about finding and keeping your tempo. If you let it get off track, it's hard to settle yourself down to keep your routine in the normal flow, the way you do it in training. Maddie closes it with a round off 1.5, sticks that landing. Just that small balance check in the routine, but finished it strongly.
Well, Monday night, SEC Inside grants you an all-access pass to the Ole Miss men's basketball team at 9 Eastern. Then at 9:30, it's the Missouri women's program. You'll get never-before-seen footage and sound from players and coaches. A real behind-the-scenes look right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Taking you behind the scenes there on the hoops side of things. Meanwhile, a big floor routine coming up for Auburn. It'll be Sophia Groth for the Tigers.
First tumbling pass for Sophia from handspring front double full, and she rocked that. Switch half to wolf full. Round front full to layout. For Sophia. She doesn't need to shush this crowd because that routine deserves the applause. That front double twist, she loves it. Closed out with the front Rudy.
That's incredible stuff from Sophia there. She'll be going to Africa over the summer to do community service, something that's very important to her outside of her gymnastics. Such a well-rounded gymnast. And now Ella Burgess stepping up on the beam. This is big for Alabama. Again, Auburn led going into this rotation. They gave Sophia Groth a 9.9 on her last floor routine. Ella Burgess trying to follow up a 9.850 from Maddie Walagora here. You've got two 9.9s on the floor so far for Auburn in this fourth rotation.
One arm back handspring layout.
Big hit in the score there. They want to drop that 9.325 from Rybicki.
Big balance check for Ella after that aerial, but she did not come off the beam. Switch leap to beat jump. Jump to switch side. Gainer pike off the end, sticks the landing. Just that one balance check she had in there, that was her biggest deduction. I'm not sure Alabama's going to be able to come back and gain up the tenths they've lost to Auburn, but they still have potential to put up a good road score if they continue to hit their beam routines.
Yep, Auburn such a strong start on the floor. You can feel the momentum in Neville Arena. You can feel the momentum amongst that Auburn sideline. And Sophia Groth had a 9.9. So now Gabby McLaughlin followed that up. Already two 9.9s for Auburn on the floor. And just rolling with momentum right now.
Gabby opens up that beautiful connection pass. This is a team of athletes of many talents. Gabby has actually done some of her teammates' choreography. Cassie Stevens has cut their music. So they are very athlete-centric, and they are all very involved in their trainings, their routine construction. And I think that's phenomenal that the Auburn coaching staff is building them up to allow them to pursue a passion that they maybe want to chase once they are done with their gymnastics career. What a routine.
Auburn lost to Arkansas in their last SEC meet. They came into today and searched their first SEC meet win, and they're on track right now to get it because of performances like this.
Another look at that opening tumbling pass for Gabby. Closed out the routine with a nice double pike.
Next up on me, Lily Hudson.
You mentioned how much the gymnasts are involved. Jeff Graba himself also gets involved with cutting some of the floor music as Lily Hudson will now come up on the beam for Alabama here.
Nice aggressive front aerial to back handspring for Lily Hudson.
See, the score just hasn't quite gone the way Alabama wanted it to on the beam today.
Switch half for Lily. Small balance check on her landing. When you're performing leaps like that, you want to absorb the landing through your ankles, knees. And she landed that pretty rigid. Ended the routine with a round off 1.5.
Cassie Stevens on the floor for Auburn will try to follow up Gabby McLaughlin's 9.9. And Cassie Stevens is unique in this regard because she's come up with her own namesake in terms of her own skill. It's called the Stevens.
A swing through front aerial where I land on my knee, one knee. I started off doing it from a front handspring, so I put my hands on the beam. And then one summer, I just tried it from a front aerial, and I was just so comfortable landing in that position that it worked like a charm.
I mean, I think it's safe to say the Stevens is probably your favorite skill.
It should be,
I mean,
right?
If I had my own skill, I'm pretty sure it would be my favorite, but that is a very unique and cool name to fame, claim to fame.
She's 5th in this lineup on the floor.
A aggressive first tumbling pass, the run and punch into that first front layout. Cassie means business in this routine.
Auburn has meant business on the floor today overall.
Cassie getting ready for her next pass. Round off back handspring, double tuck. These floor routines, you can tell that they feel this victory in their grasp and they are not letting it go.
That should just about clinch the meet for Auburn after Stevens once again sparkling in every event that she does. Competing in the all-around. Auburn's last win in the series came in 2022. Alabama won last year. The long history of Alabama winning in this series history. Auburn didn't get their first win over Bama until 2016. On track to get another one here. Luisa Blanco, meanwhile, coming up on the beam for Alabama. Going to anchor this lineup in the 4th rotation and wrap up the night for Bama.
Beautiful front aerial for Luisa. Handspring layout, a beautiful 3-skill acro series. Showcasing her flexibility with that scale.
Alicia still, again, yeah, she's still getting that all around too, Alicia.
closing out this beam routine for the Crimson Tide. But you can see her toes grabbing that mat to not take a step on that landing. Another look at that acro series. Louisa makes that look so easy. Her layouts are so light and airy. Very nice routine.
We'll see what they give Louisa, rounding out the lineup on beam for Alabama, again competing in the all-around. We have our final all-arounder coming up next, and Olivia Hollingsworth on the floor. Auburn already a season-high team score, a chance to add on to it here to close out the night.
Olivia opens up with a full twisting double back, 2 flips, 1 full twist. Nice switch half to straddle full. Front tuck step out to double tuck. And that does it. What a night for the Auburn Tigers.
And fitting for one of their gymnasts that just set such an example of her work ethic, and Olivia Hollingsworth, to wrap it up and get this win for Auburn, upsetting Alabama, doing it at home. Just means a little more in this state when you say Alabama versus Auburn. It's a year-round conversation, and the Tigers get the job done. What a performance right from the start when they set a season high on the vault and never looked back.
Another look at this double tuck. She's up so high, she actually takes out the camera guy. He can't hold himself up because she blew him away.
That is awesome. Auburn gets the win. We'll wrap it up when we come back to Neville Arena. To 7 Eastern with a special quad meet from St. Charles, Missouri, featuring number 6 Florida and number 12 Mizzou, plus number 25 Illinois and Lindenwood. Then it's 14th ranked Auburn and 3rd ranked LSU from Baton Rouge, right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. So Auburn wins the meet today. You see that season high team score of 197.725. Just really, really good from start to finish. We now welcome in Cassie Stevens, who set a career high all-around score today in this win for Auburn. Cassie, your team right from the start, you could feel yourself feeding off the momentum of this crowd and the energy overall. What was it like to be out there from start to finish today?
It was just so great. Honestly, it's funny that you say that word momentum, because that was just kind of our focus for the night, starting strong and then just building routine after routine, event after event. And I'm just so proud of this team and the way that we were able to do that.
Cassie, explain to the viewers what the atmosphere is like inside that arena, because they can't feel it at home, so you got to tell us what that feels like.
Yeah, it's insane. There's no way to describe it in words. You have to be here to experience it, but just the fans and the energy, it's electric in here, and we really feed off of that, and we love it, and we love being home, and we couldn't do it without our fans, so we're so grateful for them.
What's the key to keeping it rolling next week?
I think tonight was a huge confidence builder, just knowing that this is actually what we're capable of, and I think that we knew that all along, and that's why we've been a little bit frustrated in the beginning of the season. But just using this as a building block for the rest of the season, I think moving forward is going to help us a lot.
Cassie, thank you
really
so
appreciate
much.
your time.
Thank you guys.
Her team gets the win today. You know, that's what she cares about most. But individually, she was spectacular, Alicia.
From start to finish, Cassie is just a consistent competitor for this team. And she made some of these big scores count tonight for the Tigers, rocking her landings and her Stevens on both beam and floor. She was definitely a tone setter, helping them keep the momentum going to clench this victory over Alabama.
Season high for Auburn on the vault, beam and floor and cumulative team score in this win over their in-state rival. Just a spectacular showing from Auburn at Neville Arena today. Trying to keep the momentum rolling. Next week, as you see, we'll have that for you. Number 14 Auburn against LSU next week. This is fun, Alicia. Always a blast doing an in-state matchup.
This has been great, Jason. Thank you so much. A lot of work to go for these two teams as they try to increase their rankings.
We'll see if they can keep it rolling next week. For our outstanding SEC Network crew, I'm Jason Ross Jr. for Alicia Quinn, saying so long.